Hi, welcome to Karen K Reviews. Today I am reviewing Abbott Elementary Season 2, Episode 12, Fight. This episode's opening scene takes place in the teacher's mailroom, and Janine discovers that Gregory has a flyer for his dad's company. While showing Janine the flyer, Gregory explains that his dad hired an actor even though Gregory is an only child because it's good for business. Our first conflict is introduced when Zara and Joya, Janine's students, are no longer sitting together because they are not getting along. However, Janine makes them sit together and her positivity complex is at it again. Gregory's dad stops by Abbott since he is in town for a landscaping conference. When he greets his dad, Gregory is noticeably stiffer than usual, and even Ava seems to notice his dad's effect on him. Our third conflict this episode is introduced when Melissa, Ava, and Mr. Johnson start discussing fantasy football, and Mr. Johnson calls Melissa's picks trash. Gregory brings his dad around and introduces him to Barbara and Jacob, who introduce themselves as the caretakers of the Abbott Elementary Garden. Gregory's dad talks about the improved on design and accidentally gives away that Gregory has been doing the planting the entire time. I was wondering when this was going to come out. He's been doing this for almost an entire year now. Jacob and Barbara take the news pretty hard and hold a little grudge for a while. I'm not sure if I would have been that mad about it, but of course, I probably wouldn't be trying to garden either, so there's that. But then I think it was the "Are you done?" from Gregory after Barbara's alliteration, sewing secretly, pruning privately, culling clandestinely, that set her off. Next, the conflict between Zara and Joya starts bubbling over in the cafeteria with one of the girls milking the other one. Janine is basically trying to force friendship on them, but it's not working. In Janine's positive mind, everyone has to be friends, but in reality, it just doesn't work like that. Melissa and Ava begin to plot together to bring down Mr. Johnson in fantasy football, and Melissa's getting 20% of the profits. Later, Gregory's dad is so impressed with his gardening work that he invites Gregory to work with him, provide input, and earn some extra cash. Gregory smiled in this episode. Jacob said he never saw him experience joy, but there it is. At lunchtime, Janine thinks Joy and Zara are getting along because there has not been any trouble, but actually they've made plans for their sisters to fight. Janine unfortunately ends up in the middle of it. She's still a newer teacher, so she didn't see it coming, but when you've been in the game for a minute, you know to be ready for anything. Next, Melissa sets up Operation Splash Interference and sends a kid on an impossible task so Mr. Johnson has a drop-in mop. While he's in the dead zone, they plan to sabotage him in fantasy football, but they're too late. Gregory goes out to work with his dad, who asks him to join him in business so Gregory can one day take over the company. His dad says he's never seen him more confident. While I was watching this scene, I was proud of Gregory. He's confident because he branched away from what his dad wanted. Of course, I wanted to scream because I obviously don't want him to leave Abbott. As I watched this scene, I thought exactly what Gregory thought later. He's confident because he's doing something that he loves. After the fight, Janine schedules an office hour with Barbara. She said she thought it was going to be a week and a half wait, but Barbara comes to her earlier because she sees that she needs it. Barbara makes Janine realize that her own family dynamics are what makes her feel so uncomfortable with conflict and that it's okay that people don't like each other. Here are a few stray observations. I think this is the first, if not one of the few episodes of this series where we have gotten 3 storylines and not 2. Ava is getting bolder and bolder with harassing Gregory. That's a family tree I'd like to climb. And then the look Gregory gave Ava when his dad gave her his business card. This time she really didn't ask for it, but of course she later refers to Gregory and his dad as double trouble. Is Gregory going to teach Jacob and Barbara to care for the garden now that they know exactly what he was doing? Supplant Santa Claus. They're going back to cutting Jacob off and walking away again in this episode. Everyone walked away from his story about having to give himself the Heimlich maneuver. Movie Friday sounds fun. A lot of times they barely allow us to show movies, even as a reward. Seeing Gregory smile made me smile. Black boy joy. Our conscious kid saying, "I hate seeing my queens fight, but I thought Miss Teagues was going to get mollywopped upside the head," was a hilarious inclusion. Also, it's always the same little kid that sets off everything. The same one yelling fight was the same one who kept breaking the toilets in the Juice episode. Ava was principal in this episode. She broke up their fight, and Barbara was flowing with the lines this episode. First the alliteration, then the "Janine, don't make me call a 7th grader to beat you up." Both Janine and Gregory had to confront their childhood upbringings this episode. Janine had to recognize that conflict is okay, and Gregory basically had to continue to move forward into the life that he wants, not what his dad wants. So another thing with that, I noticed that Gregory did not introduce Janine to his dad, and I would have liked to have seen that. Both, so as crazy as it seems, the big sisters showing up and being friends after fighting happens all the time at school. Also, at their age, most kids aren't really mature enough to handle the type of conflict resolution that Janine was trying to create. They can't get past not liking each other, but they can learn to be cordial when they have to. And I like that little moment at the tissue box between Joya and Zara. So next season, we will probably get introduced to Aisha, Janine's sister, and I really want to see the dynamics between those two. Another thing I didn't expect was Jacob being behind the fantasy football win for Mr. Johnson. Overall, I rate this episode an 8. I like seeing Janine's fatal flaw of positivity continue to manifest itself in different ways, but she continues to learn and grow. What are your opinions on this episode? Comment down below. If you like this video, please subscribe, like, and share. Thank you for watching.